My father said I'd get nothing, so I cut off every dollar and let the truth tear their perfect family apart. My name is Emily Thompson. I'm 32 years old. And until the night this story began, I thought I had finally made peace with the role my family had given me. I was the dependable one. The one with the stable career in Seattle, the downtown apartment, the color-coded calendar, the good credit, the steady paycheck, and the emotional reflex to fix things before anyone even had to ask twice. People looked at my life and said I was doing just fine. And that was exactly why my family thought I would swallow what happened next with a polite smile. It was supposed to be a simple family barbecue at the house across the lake. The kind of evening where the lemonade is too sweet, the grill is too hot, and everyone acts normal just long enough to make you forget how dangerous comfort can be. I remember the smell of smoke in the yard, the sound of silverware against porcelain, and the way my father rested one hand on a stack of papers, like he had been waiting all night for his moment. Then he looked me straight in the eye and said, "Don't expect a dime from me." Not one person at that table looked surprised. That was the part that hurt more than the sentence. They all knew. They all let me sit there smiling like a fool while they passed me a plate and waited for the knife to go in. I could have cried. I could have begged. I could have reminded them of every bill I had quietly covered and every mess I had helped clean up, while they called it love or family or just helping out. Instead, I smiled back. I set my fork down, then my knife, and I said, "All right, then, don't expect a single cent from me either." You know that kind of silence that feels louder than screaming? That was the silence I left behind when I stood up and walked out. The drive back to Seattle felt longer than it ever had before. Every red brake light in front of me looked blurred at the edges, like my eyes were refusing to focus on anything too clearly, because if they did, I might actually break. I kept replaying his face in my head. Calm. Certain. Almost relieved. Like he had been waiting for years to finally say out loud what everyone in that family had quietly believed. That I was useful, but not precious. Reliable, but not loved the way the others were loved. It should have destroyed me more than it did. Maybe it would have if that night had been the first betrayal. But it wasn't. It was just the first time they were arrogant enough to stop hiding it. By the time I got home, I had gone cold in the most dangerous way. Not rage. Not panic. Clarity. I kicked off my heels. Poured myself a glass of California Red I had been saving for a better night. Opened my banking app and stared at the evidence of my own stupidity. It was all there like a second family budget hidden inside mine. $2,000 every month toward the business debt my father never recovered from after his construction company started sinking. A recurring payment for my brother Ethan's car and insurance. Another for my sister Olivia's rent gap, and all the little emergencies that somehow happened every month with such suspicious consistency. Then the extra things. Property tax, when my parents came up short. Repairs after a pipe burst downstairs. A roof patch one winter. A contractor deposit for a remodel they told neighbors they had somehow managed on their own. 5 years. 5 years of quiet money moving out of my life and into theirs. And, somehow, I was still the selfish one. I hovered over the cancel button, expecting guilt to stop me. I thought years of conditioning would rise up and whisper that I was overreacting. That family made mistakes. That good daughters absorbed them quietly. That love meant carrying what nobody else would. but all I could hear was his voice. Don't expect a dime from me. So I whispered back to the empty apartment. Fine. And I canceled every single transfer. The business debt, the car, the rent support, the backup family fund I had left there for emergencies that never seemed to end. Every confirmation screen felt too small for something that had controlled so much of my adult life. When the last transfer disappeared, I waited for guilt to hit me. It didn't. What hit first was grief. Not for the money. For the truth. I had not been helping build a loving family. I had been financing a system where everyone else got to stay comfortable while I earned the right to be tolerated. I cried then. Quietly. My face in my hands. My wine untouched beside me. But underneath the grief, something else was growing. Relief. The kind that loosens something in your chest you didn't realize had been clenched for years. 48 hours later, I got exactly what I should have expected. Not remorse. Not apology. Outrage. The first voicemail came from my mother on Monday morning, as I was walking into the office with coffee in one hand and my laptop bag sliding off my shoulder. Emily, I do not know what game you think you are playing. But your father got a call from the bank. And Ethan says his payment didn't go through. Call me back immediately. No. Are you okay? No, maybe your father went too far. No, we need to talk. Just panic over missing money. By lunch. There were 4 more. My brother sounded angry before he sounded scared. My sister sounded insulted. My father left the shortest message of all. Fix this. That was it. 2 words. Like I was payroll. By evening, the text started. My mother said I was being dramatic. My brother said I was punishing everyone over one conversation. My sister said this was exactly why nobody could ever talk to me honestly. That one made me laugh out loud, alone in my apartment. Honestly? These people had staged a family dinner like a trap, and were calling me the difficult one because I stopped funding it. I blocked them all before bed. Not because I was weak. Because I already knew the sequence. First anger. Then guilt. Then the tired classic of manipulative families everywhere. After everything we've done for you. 3 weeks passed. No one came to apologize. No flowers. No honesty. Just silence thick enough to prove everything I needed to know. Then, on a Friday afternoon, a text came through from an unknown number. Family meeting tonight. You owe us this. You owe us. That phrasing alone told me exactly what they still believed. That access to me was part of their package plan. I should have ignored it. But some raw, foolish part of me still wanted what I had chased my whole life. One fair moment. One honest conversation. So I drove back to Bellevue that night. The house looked exactly the same from the outside. Warm porch light. Trim lawn. The illusion of stability still intact. If you didn't know who had been paying to maintain it. My mother opened the door before I knocked. Her smile was thin and nervous. Inside, my father stood by the fireplace. My brother and sister sat on the sofa like a jury that had already reached a verdict. And my Aunt Susan was there too. Stiff on the edge of the couch. Like even she knew this room was wrong. Nobody offered me a seat. So I took one anyway. My father began in that calm, Measured tone. Men like him use when they think they still control the room. Emily, we need to clear the air. Your mother and I think this has gone on long enough. I looked at him and said, Has what gone on long enough? My brother jumped in first. This tantrum. You cutting off money like that? You know Dad is behind. You know I needed that payment. Tantrum. That was the word he chose for the end of 5 years of support. My sister followed with the family religion I had heard my entire life. You're successful. Emily. You live in Seattle. You have a great job. You're fine. Some of us are still figuring things out. There it was. My competence had always been their excuse. Because I was stable. I was less deserving of care. Because I managed my life well. I was expected to carry theirs too. My mother leaned in with her soft, tired performance voice. You're the oldest. You've always been strong. Ethan and Olivia still need more support. That doesn't mean we don't love you. That almost impressed me. She framed exploitation as love with uneven distribution. So I stopped arguing feelings and started listing facts. The exact amount I had paid toward my father's business debt. The months. The transfers. The repairs. The property tax bill 2 winters ago. Then I looked at my brother and reminded him who had covered the down payment on the car he still drove. I looked at my sister and named the rent extensions. The missed minimums. The emergency cash I sent when she decided 2 jobs in 1 year were beneath her. Nobody interrupted for the first minute. Then they all started at once. I was keeping score. No one forced me. Money didn't buy emotional rights. I was shaming them. My father's face hardened and his voice dropped. If you came here to shame us, you can leave. I stood up. That's the first thing you've said tonight that makes sense. Then I looked at all 4 of them and said the sentence I should have said years earlier. You do not get to tell me I matter less and then demand I keep financing the people you value more. My father took 1 step toward me and said, If you walk out that door tonight, I don't expect to come back. I was already turning the knob when I answered, I haven't felt welcome here in years. That should have been the end. But when people lose control over the person they depend on, they rarely let go quietly. The rumors started almost immediately. Tinilius. Strategic lies. The kind that travel faster than loud ones because they sound reasonable enough to repeat. My sister told relatives, I cut everyone off after 1 harmless estate planning comment. My brother said success had changed me. My mother let her friends whisper that she was heartbroken because I suddenly stopped helping after all my parents had sacrificed. Sacrificed. That almost made me laugh. But this time they underestimated me. They thought I would explode emotionally. Instead, I took screenshots. Every message. Every post. Every little performance. Then one night, after my father showed up in my office, Lobby terrified the bank was coming after the house, and still somehow managed to frame me as the problem. I finally understood the truth. Silence had never protected me. It had only protected them. So I made a post. No insults. No rant. No melodrama. Just facts. Years of quiet support. Dates. Amounts. Transfers. Repairs. Debt. rent, property tax, car payment, and one line at the end. I never wanted public sympathy. I wanted private respect. Since I could not get that, I am choosing honesty. That was the night the story changed. Not because I destroyed them, because I stopped carrying them. And once the truth had receipts, their outrage lost its confidence. 6 months later, the business folded. My father took maintenance work. My mother picked up coffee shop shifts. My brother got a warehouse job. My sister took a serving job after reality finally caught up with her. And me? My income stayed with me for the first time in years. I maxed out savings, renovated my apartment, took a trip to Hawaii, got promoted, met peace in small, ordinary stretches I no longer had to earn. That is what this story really gave me. Not revenge. Freedom. The freedom to stop confusing love with access. The freedom to understand that generosity is beautiful, but only when it is chosen, not extracted. The freedom to finally say no and realize that no did not make me cruel. It made me honest.